Tom Kirk. I am a wealth coach by choice. I'm trained as a CPA, but have been involved in financial planning and investment advice for about the last 25 years.
My name is Ron Zitza, and I'm not really sure what I do for a living. I do things that amaze me constantly, that God allows me these things. Teaching people to drive in cars, driving race cars with and for people, helping the cars develop, the drivers develop. It's an amazing life, and I praise God for it. Professionally coaching since 1989, and absolutely have been blessed. I love it, and as long as I can do it successfully and well, and people improve their skill sets and enjoy our relationships together, then I'm going to keep doing it.
I had pretty much just different kinds of transportation for many years until I graduated college and bought my first Porsche. It was a 1971 911T. Around 2001, I think it was, I bought a Gen 1 Corvette Z06, 405 horsepower, 6-speed manual Corvette, and drove that car for about 5 years. I didn't really do any track events other than I went to Bithlow a couple of times. When it came time to consider another car, I was very seriously entertaining the idea of getting another Z06. By that time it was a 500 horsepower car. And Cindy, my wife, asked me, is there some other car that I might like to have? And I thought back to that 911 that I had. And so I went to the Porsche dealership and test drove a 2007 Cayman S. And I was just so impressed with the agility of that car and how it handled, and have been buying Porsches again since 2007. So the last 10 or 11 or 12 years now, my car of choice has been a Porsche. It's a combination really of style, I think, performance, and the camaraderie of fellow Porsche owners. I think it's no fluke that the Porsche Club of America is the largest single mark club in the world. There aren't as many Porsches sold as there are perhaps Corvettes and BMWs and other nice cars, but the Porsche owners that I've met were all just so very enthusiastic about our car.
I had a statement from my father that I felt was pretty profound when I was younger. He bought a 57 Speedster that had been in an accident, front and rear, and he restored it. And as he was finishing the restoration, he said, I will never have another British car. The German engineering is so superior, this is going to be our car. We're always going to have a German Porsche car. And we always did, and that never left me.
We were talking over dinner, and he asked me if I was going to take my Porsche to the track. And I was actually kind of surprised that that was an option. And my very first driver's ed was at Roebling Road up in Savannah, I think in the winter months. It was a February, March, or April, Roebling Road. You know, that kind of got the ball rolling. So that was like 2008. I bought the car in 2007. That was like 2008. I did maybe one event, 2 events a year. I had that Cayman S, and I did a few DEs with it. Roebling at least once, maybe twice. Palm Beach International Raceway once or twice. Sebring once or twice. I traded that in and had a 997, 911 Turbo Cabriolet. A fast car, you know, 480 horsepower car. And I was DEing that. And I was getting faster with my cars, and my skill level was getting better. I decided to buy a dedicated track car that isn't in perfect shape, like my street car, and I don't have to keep it in perfect shape, and I'll learn how to drive it, and so that's when I bought my I bought a what appeared to be it was a 71 911T, honestly. It was very much like the same vintage as my very first car, but this was a totally prepared car. Someone decades ago had turned it into a dedicated track car, so it had, the interior was shelled out, it had racing seats and a roll cage and harnesses and fire suppression system and all the stuff you need for a dedicated car. So that's when I met Ron, was with that car. With my street cars, I was doing as most of us do with DE. I would go to the local dealership, have them pre-tech the car. I would drive it to the track. I would drive it for a couple of days and then drive it home. And so now I had this track car that was not street legal. I bought a trailer and I towed the car up to Roebling Road. And I had started it a few times. I think I had a photo shoot locally with it, and so I, was just barely familiar with it. And I got to Roebling Road, and I think it was February, which is cold up in Savannah. And I rolled the car out of the trailer, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning and about 45 degrees. And I went to turn the car on, and it fired up, and then it stopped. And so I gave a little bit of gas and I turned the car on, and it fired up and it stopped. So next time I gave it a little bit more gas and it fired up and I revved the engine twice. And people were running across the paddock at me, telling me to cut my engine because I had oil oozing out from the front oil cooler of my car. Because I did not know at that time, which I do know now, that there's a procedure of how you should start an old air-cooled car when it's cold. And one of the things you're not supposed to do is rev the engine when it's cold. Because what I had done was taken all that cold, hard oil and shoved it into the system, and it found the weakest place and just busted it out. I hadn't even been on track yet. This is 8:30 in the morning and my weekend's done. So one of Ron's team members came over. They said, well, maybe Zotz can help you. Somebody tells me in the paddock. I don't know who Zotz is. They graciously pushed my car across the paddock to their tent area and extracted that broken oil cooler from the front of my car, put the in and the out together so that it would still work, took a light cover off of the left fender because inside that was a trombone air cooler, and it was 50 degrees, so it was cool. I missed one session. I was back on track with my instructor after what could have been a catastrophic event. That rolled into me bringing the car. Ron was able to find for me a replacement oil cooler. I brought the car here to get it fixed, and it never left. It never left. I don't think it ever left. My trailer was here for a long time. I thought I might use it and eventually selling that. But that's how we met. It became really apparent to me that I knew about, I don't have mechanical skills anyway, and I really had no idea what I was getting into with that car. And I needed help, and Ron was, saved the day that weekend and has many times since then with things that have happened to me at race events and track events. And so that's how we got started.
I've seen it over the years where, you don't know how to get in, and you don't know a place like Zotz, okay? Right. But Porsche Club, and there's a Porsche Club race, so I'll go down there and see what's there. But there's more to it than that. You'd had Porsche street cars, and they're turnkey. But as you start to change the cars from stock configuration, you need to understand what you're doing, what you're affecting, because one thing doesn't affect one other thing. It affects 10 or 20 things. So when you're making decisions about what to do, either for safety or for performance, reliability, you have to understand the whole car, everything that you're working with, and how you're affecting all of it. And people, they shouldn't be expected to know that, because how are they going to know that? I've been doing this my entire life. And so I'm supposed to know, right? And so when we have guys come in or gals come in here and they want to progress, we press safety is always first. So we want to be as safe as possible on track. I want to make sure that the important things are not the fun first. Safety has to be first. And then after safety, then comes fun. Because it's all fun and games till somebody gets hurt. So we put in the safety so that if something goes wrong, you're still fine, you can fix the car.
I decided that there were two ways to find where the edge of performance was. One is to go over it and come back and hope you don't die or hurt yourself with the car, or hire Ron, have give me some data, me compare my data to his data and see where those gaps are. Not that I can drive like him, but if there's a big gap, I probably have some room that I can inch up to. If I'm going as fast as him on turn X, I'm not going to try to go faster. That's just as fast as I can go there. But there's other places where he's going a lot faster than me, you know, or braking later or exiting faster, whatever. I can work on those, and usually there, to this day, you know, there used to be 4 or 5 places like that. Now there are 2 or 3 places like that on every track.
Those gaps are getting smaller.
The gaps are getting small, and and you know, that's what I can focus on. And you know, on a racetrack, it's better to, you know, I've got enough seat time now where a lot of it is intuitive, but you can't focus on everything all the time. You need to have, like, I'm going to do better at turn 1 this time. For the next 4 or 5 laps, I'm going to focus on turn 1, you know, because that's why I need to pick up some speed, and that's what I was able to chop away at it. So. That's how it started, and it's worked out really well.
Well, normal for me is that the first session on track with a student that I'm going to coach that is already solo. Okay, it's a whole different deal coaching and instructing someone who's beginning. There's a process of information that they have to understand so that we're all safe. Okay, Tom's past that. He's a solo driver, and he's safe enough, but he doesn't have enough knowledge to know the accuracy required for when you go faster and how you pick up. What do you mean I'm not accurate? Well, here's a reference point. Oh, there's a reference point. There's a painted line on the track that's there every time you go, or a patch or a dot. Find items that will always be there and take notes. Write down in your notes the track, this is what I do at each turn, so on and so forth. And then while you're out there, you should be working off of what I call a line item list. Now, as an accountant, CPA, and so many other capable things with the financial world, it may mean one thing to him, but to me, a line item list is a list of every single thing that you do with your car around a lap on a racetrack. Once you have that line item list and it's consistent, then you can make changes and improve what you're doing. I want to try braking a little later. Well, if you're braking at 5 different places in 5 laps, you don't know where you're braking yet. That was kind of my situation with Tom, is I just wanted to see what he did driving, but the driving was a moving target. Okay, so he's doing it safely. He's not driving over his capability, but I don't think he understood how far from accuracy he actually was. So as we kept making adjustments to the car, not only did Tom gain confidence in the car, as he was gaining confidence as a driver. So if you don't trust your car, you're not willing to try things. It's been a great relationship, and you know, I always try and learn from the people I'm working with. And one of my sayings is, I would like you to be as fast or faster than me, and at that point, I am a successful coach.
Ron is a more direct communicator, what I found, and I like that. I like that. And it's not like Ron pushes you away, but you know, I like working with somebody who I don't have to worry about what they're thinking, because they're going to tell me. And because I wanted to get better, I wanted to be safe, I wanted to be faster, I wanted to enjoy my car, and I just another interesting thing by using Ron over and over and over again is I got consistent instruction in an incremental way. I think Ron and I had a really good teacher-student relationship because I was trusting my car, I was trusting Ron, and Ron was beginning to trust my ability to be able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. So he would say, try this, and I would go try it.
I want you to have the truth, the facts of what your skill sets are doing or not doing, and where we need to be, okay? But that's not done all at once. It's built from the brake zone. It always starts at the brake zone. From the brake zone, as you build consistency of pedal pressure and the release of the pedal to begin to understand what trail braking is and that you can be consistent with that, then we can start working on pace into the turn. But if your braking point's moving and your pedal pressure is this or that, or 5 laps it's solid and then the next time it's like you didn't really push on, it's not safe. So then we have to back up because it's got to be safe. Always first, safe, and then comes in the safety and the fun with the skill sets. So as your skill sets became more accurate, more consistent, I can push you. But if you're not, then it's dangerous for me to push you. It's like there's no reason for me to take your car out and show you how fast your car can go when it's outside of the parameters of your skill sets. Because now you're going to try and do something with your car that you can't do safely. So instead, I bring data to you that's outside of where you are, but not that far. Close enough that you can reach it, see it, and attain it. And as you get more comfortable being at that next level, then I give you more. And as you continue to improve and improve more and more and more, we push and push. And I never stop letting you learn.
And that incremental training, feedback, skill set, a little bit more the skill set, you can't, I don't know how you could get that with multiple instructors. So those are the awards that I received at the end of the 2018 Historic Sports Car Racing season, which was my rookie racing season. November of 2017, I got my racing license. So I did HSR, Historic Sports Car Racing, SVRA, Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, and PCA Club Racing, all 3 at Sebring to see how the organizations worked, and decided to pursue HSR, just to do a couple of events. I kept winning. I kept getting on the podium in the endurance races and winning first in class, so that I was really not planning on doing all the events, but as it ended up, I did all the events, 7 races ranging from Sebring, Florida to without Ron's and Zotz Racing, the whole team here, their capability and capacity, we could not have consistently brought a car to the racetrack that was going to be competitive and last. And I think what's unique about Zotz that I don't think is available anywhere else is wherever you want to be in your driving skill, Ron and Zotz can help you. So whether it's your first DE and you want to be, get better, or you want to become a competition champion, all along that continuum, Ron and the team can help you. And there's some other ways that you can go, but especially if to get to where I ended up, I'm so thankful that I had this consistent training that I could build upon. I wasn't heading this way, and then I found Ron. He said, no, you need to be going this way. It would have really, I think, been much more difficult. It was so much more of a linear process for me. The way that the Zotz Racing delivers this unique experience, I think, is a perfect fit for me and for lots of people.
This is now 60 years of Porsche preparation, driving, racing, 60 60, not 60 years. It is phenomenal. And you know, Tom winning a championship here again, that's 14 championships of endurance racing in HSR. And I've won 3 vintage national championships with SVRA. And it's just amazing because the average person getting involved is generally 40s plus, okay? And when they get involved with the sport as a DE, not forget the racing, we're a long ways from that, just a DE. Why didn't I do this sooner? I can't believe how much fun this is. Why didn't I do this sooner? And that's the bottom line. Get out there, play, have some fun. Recognize that the car that you bought, if it's a Porsche, it's engineered to be driven in ways that you have no idea yet. So get out there and have some fun.